Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today's video, we got another Mandalorian podcast for you. We are talking about season 2, episode 5, and this episode was called The Jedi. So uh, we had kind of a feeling that it was going to be about Ahsoka, but we didn't know. So we're going to dive into the episode and talk about it a little bit for you guys. Um, so yeah, we kind of start off right away with a ton of action, and we see somebody with white lightsaber blades, which was kind of different for all of us. And yeah, there was two of them flying around, and we eventually kind of see who this person is. And for those of you that have watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, you would recognize her to be Ahsoka. Ahsoka did have the two lightsabers back when she had, I think, green lightsabers when she started out, and then she had blue lightsabers at the end of Clone Wars, and now she has white lightsabers. They didn't really go into much detail about why they're white. We might get that later on, who knows. My opinion is she's just a gray Jedi, which means she's not dedicated to the light or the dark. She's just kind of a force user that goes about her business. But yeah, so she's attacking this group of people. It's very, very dark. It's at night. And she eventually walks up to what this settlement is. It looks like a little city. And she is talking to the leaders, which are right in front at the gates, basically saying, Ahsoka is saying to them, like, I want this piece of information. We don't really know what it is, but there's definitely something that she wants to know that this person knows that she's talking to at the gates. We find out that person's name is the magistrate. So moving forward, we'll just call the leader of that city the magistrate. So yeah, we kind of find out that Ahsoka tells her that, hey, I'm going to give you until tomorrow to let me know what I want to know. And then it kind of cuts to the Mandalorian. So we kind of have a little bit of tension between the two before we get the Mandalorian introduced to this conflict.
Yeah, the magistrate, she just wants, no way am I going to tell you this information. How many lives is it worth to you? 1, 10, 100? Basically saying, I don't care about these people that live here. I'll kill them all. If that's what it means to you, I'm still not going to tell you anything. But yeah, so right around then, that's when, so yeah, that's kind of just our first impression of her. She's really evil. But yeah, so Mando arrives to Corvus, so the same little settlement, right? And the guard lets him in. He's basically just trying to pretend like, hey, I just need somewhere to rest because we've been traveling for a while. He tries talking to some of the villagers, and they just want nothing to do with him. They're all really scared because of these people that are in charge. That's kind of where it comes into play with the magistrate just not really caring about anybody's lives. So I'd be scared too. It's a very high tense area. But that's when the guard says like, hey, Mandalorian, or whatever they call him, magistrate wants to talk to you. And so there's a little exchange there where she basically says, you're a hunter, right? I want you to take down this Jedi. And he tries basically telling her, like, you can't afford me, I'm too expensive. And she goes, well, what about this? She pulls out this Vaskar spear, which he recognizes to be the same material as his armor, that same Vaskar metal, which is very strong. So without saying if he's going to do it or not, he just kind of says, like, well, where is she? Point me in what direction? So then he goes out and tries to search for her.
Yeah, and the metal is actually like sacred to his people, so it's got a little more attachment to him as well. Something that was kind of interesting about the city too was when he was trying to talk to those people, the guards were making sure that people were very hush hush, like they couldn't say anything to outsiders, which was kind of crazy to see. It really like deepened that sense of evilness of the people in charge.
And I forgot to say too, on his way to see the magistrate, he saw a couple prisoners who, it wasn't so much a cage, but it was more like a platform they were standing on. And they had these orange rings, like one around their feet, their waist, and then up by their shoulders. And every so often it would send a shock through them, which a couple times it would shock enough that, like, they do the classic, you could see their skeleton almost because of the shock, the way that was going through them. I don't know how they could live through that many shocks because it looks so incredibly painful, but just looked like a really brutal ruling group, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, and they were like strung up in the streets, so it's kind of like if you do what these people did, this will happen to you, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mando talks to this magistrate about a Jedi to go look for, and so Mando kind of takes off. He's walking through the woods, and eventually he runs into a Jedi, and he actually gets attacked by the Jedi, and we kind of see how strong that the Vaskar armor actually is, because when she swings at him, he puts his arms up, and it isn't destroyed by the lightsaber. The lightsaber is actually blocked by his armor, and he eventually says her name. He says, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan sent me. And so she kind of puts down her guard for a second, and she realizes that he has the child. He tells her that I'm searching for the Jedi, and I have this child, and he needs to be with his people. So this is why I'm searching for you. And we find out something pretty important in this exchange, something we haven't known for the entire series. We keep calling this thing Baby Yoda. We keep calling this thing the child. But we finally figure out that the child's name is Grogu. Interesting name. I would have never saw it coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically Mando wants Ahsoka to take the child and train the child in the ways of the Force. But Ahsoka has to kind of see, where is this child at? She knows nothing about it.
Yeah, so she says, let's give him a night to rest, and then I'll test him in the morning. You're wondering, test? What kind of test? After we just saw how brutal the city was, and I know she wasn't part of that, but just kind of wondering what kind of testing this is going to be. And so they go off somewhere the next morning, and basically she takes this little rock, and she uses the Force to send it off to him, and he catches it just like a cute little kid. She tries to get him to give it back to her, and he just kind of chucks it down on the ground, just like any stubborn little kid or pet when they don't want to play fetch. So there's a little bit of a back and forth between her and Mando, just, he's too stubborn, or he can't listen, he's not going to listen to you. And earlier in the episode, we saw Grogu use the Force to take off the little knob on one of the control parts of the ship. And so we know that Mando
takes from him.
Huh?
The one that he continuously takes, because he's taken that in the past.
Yes. Yep. Normally he doesn't use the Force to take it. Normally he just takes it off by hand. But this time he took it off with the Force. But Mando's got that in his pocket. So when Ahsoka says, like, no, you need to connect with him, he takes that out and offers that to Grogu. And so then he finally uses the Force to take that. So Ahsoka can see, like, yes, he does have Force powers. I'm not lying to you. He's able to control it enough to be able to take something like that. And she says something that he's not really a fan of, which is that she doesn't want to train him. She just wants his powers to fade, because there's such a strong attachment between Grogu and Mando, and he can kind of see him be like a father figure, which is something I've kind of been pointing out this whole season. So I thought that was kind of neat that they weaved that in there just a little bit further to make that stronger of a connection. But when you mix in emotion with that kind of power, it can be really dangerous. So I think that's why she doesn't really want to train him. So she's about to walk away from him, right? And then that's when.
Well, I actually want to backtrack to one other thing real quick. Is when she said that she didn't want to train him, she was kind of like analyzing Grogu, and she said, "I sense great fear in you," which is kind of like an echo back to Yoda talking about Yoda talking about Anakin. Sorry. And she said, she's seen this kind of destructive power before, and it makes her weary to try to get involved with that, because she saw the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker being her master, and those are the exact same things that caused him to go down his own path, was the immense amount of fear and what that led to, being him and his fall. She mentions Coruscant a couple times, and that alludes to when the Jedi Temple fell to what we would call him Darth Vader at that point. But yeah, so she has that little interaction with them, and she talks to Mando, and they kind of agree that they're gonna go ahead and attack the settlement together, because Mando mentioned to her, like, "Hey, I was sent to kill you, but I didn't do it. I didn't make an arrangement to actually do it. So why don't we work together to head back in there and see what we can do?" So they agree to do that, and they head back at night. Clearly, the magistrate hasn't given Ahsoka the information she wanted, and Ahsoka goes in first. When I first saw this scene, I thought, okay, what's going to happen is Mando's going to appear to have Ahsoka dead, and he's going to look like that he actually did what he was supposed to, and then they were going to infiltrate. Well, it turned out that Ahsoka actually went in first, so it's kind of the reverse of what I thought. She went in and she killed a couple guards. She basically got their attention, and she was going to face off with the magistrate. And when she went to go do that, there was orders given to just kill everybody in the city, from the magistrate to her personal guard and all his men. And so right before they were about to slaughter everybody, that's when Mando dropped into the group, and he started taking out some of the guards, and eventually it brought it down to just Mando and the main guard, and then Ahsoka and the magistrate.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool right when Mando came in and he's starting to kind of take control of the situation. That's when we see this other guy that he talked to earlier in the episode that was too scared to say anything to Mando. He basically told Mando, "Leave us alone. We don't want to talk to you." And they kind of have this understanding almost of like, "I'm actually here to help you. It's going to be okay." So I thought that was kind of neat to see the shift in how the other background characters were feeling about Mando's presence. But yeah, so Mando's facing the one bodyguard, and I really don't like that bodyguard character. There's just something about the way he is. I can't think of, help me out here, the word I'm looking for. He just, like, I'm better than you. I'm cool.
He gave me the vibe of the bad guy from Solo. Like, he kind of looked like him, and he was just kind of like,
he sounded like him.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. I'm not trying to say it was him, just, he resembled him a lot. Obviously different characters, right? But he's trying to talk to Mando, like, who do you think's going to win? It could be your side or it could be my side. Who's it going to be? And it's just like, shut up, battle. Come on, let's go. So we can hear Ahsoka and the magistrate battling it out, and the magistrate takes out one of Ahsoka's lightsabers and knocks it aside, and then eventually Ahsoka takes out her Vaskar spear and has her with a lightsaber right up to her throat, saying, tell me the information that I'm looking for. And then that's when they go back to Mando and the bodyguard can kind of tell, like, he heard the Vaskar spear hit the ground. So it's like, okay, it looks like your side won, Mando won. So he's trying to put his gun down, because at this point it was a very classic Western standoff, right, of who's going to draw their weapon first. So he's pretending to put his weapon down, and Mando kind of reaches away from his gun in his holster, and right when the guy tries to stand back up, he attempts to shoot first at Mando with like a second pistol he had hidden, but Mando's too fast for that, so he guns him down real fast. He's gone. Mando, long live Mando.
Yeah, so Mando took him out, and then we got some very, very interesting Star Wars lore involved with the Mandalorian, because we hear what Ahsoka was seeking out in the beginning of the episode. We hear her ask, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And Thrawn, if you don't know who that is, that was my face when I, heard it for the first time at 4:00 in the morning. But Thrawn, before Disney took over, Thrawn had his own thing. It was kind of like Star Wars Episode 7, 8, 9, kind of, in a way. It was all books. It wasn't an actual movie. They were all in books. But when Disney took over, they scrapped all of this stuff, and they said anything before that we took over is now just legends. It's fan fiction. But the thing is, Thrawn was so popular that Disney's like, maybe we can make some money off this. So they started making their own story with Thrawn, and he was involved with the Clone Wars. He was involved with Rebels. What I'm kind of getting at is, it might have been a Dave Filoni influence, especially since this is Dave Filoni's episode that he's directing. But Thrawn is somebody that was like a very, very smart war general, chief, whatever you want to call him. He was the dude in charge that basically got stuff done in terms of war for the Empire. He was the go-to brains of all the operations. And if you've seen our video before this, the one for episode 4, I made a small little prediction saying, what if we get, an Imperial fleet involved with the New Republic and a big, massive battle at the end? Well, this, fingers crossed, is a cookie crumb towards that. I would love to see Thrawn. I would love to see him in the movies if he got his own trilogy, because he has his own books, which we can get to in this channel later on. But yeah, I was so excited to hear that name drop. I wish we could have all the episodes right now. But
didn't you say that he was in charge of like the fleet too?
Yeah,
Starfleet.
He was basically in charge of everything as far as the war goes. Like, he was in charge of the fleets, the ground troops, everything. He was the Emperor's like right-hand man for conducting the armies. So
the reason why I bring that up is because right before Mando and Ahsoka are about to charge the city again to take back over, she tells Mando, don't underestimate the magistrate, and she kind of goes into her background of how, she, as a kid, lost everything, very generic, story. But the important part was that I don't remember what she said she does, but she essentially found a way to make a lot of money doing dirty work. That's not necessarily very admirable, and that's how she funded the Starfleet. So that's why I kind of asked about the Starfleet there, because if that's her admiral, she basically funded the war that he was in control of. So it was almost like their way of hinting at Thrawn earlier in the episode without actually saying his name, if you were able to pick that up.
Right. Yeah, it's it's really cool how the Mandalorian season 2 is really starting to play into some of the other Star Wars things. Like season 1 was like purely Mando. Let's establish this character. But now with season 2, we're getting Thrawn in the mix. We're getting Ahsoka in the mix. In the previous episode, we had what we thought was like the origins of Snoke in an episode. So many cool things are starting to intertwine that it's like, where's this show really going? It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they kind of show where it's going a little bit. They go back to Mando's ship, right? And of course, the city's celebrating because all the bad guys are gone, and the one guy that we saw at the beginning where he was saying "Don't talk to us." I guess he must be their town leader or mayor or something. But that's when Ahsoka tells him where he needs to go because she's still refusing to train Grogu, but she tells him where he needs to go so that Grogu can determine what his destiny will be, right? And so that place is...
From what it sounded like Tythard. Again, we had kind of a back and forth of what she really said, but we're pretty sure that the planet name was Tythard. It has a Jedi temple there, and basically what she wants Mando to do is to take the child or Grogu there, put him on this pedestal thing, and have him make his own choice. So I don't know if maybe he's gonna get there and he's gonna hear like the spirits of the other Jedi, kind of like Rey did in Episode 9 when she was laying down. That would be kind of cool if they can work in some of the Jedi into that.
I think it's going to be a couple episodes before that happens. I say at least one, because we still have from last episode when we learned that Gideon put that tracker on Mando's ship. So I almost wondered if when he went back to get Grogu from the ship at the very end of the episode, I was kind of like really nervous. Is something going to happen? Is somebody there waiting for him? And no, everything's fine. Nothing. I'm like, come on.
But here's my hope.
So intense because the rest of the episode was so exciting, you know?
My hope is that the next episode, they go to the temple and, they figure out these different things and we learn about the Jedi a little bit and what's going on. Maybe even a cameo from Luke or something at the temple. But at the very end is when Gideon tracks them to this Jedi temple, because what does the Empire want to get rid of? The Jedi. What if this massive battle happens at this planet at the temple? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, that's just theorizing. We don't know if that's going to happen yet, but we would love to see it. So yeah, that is about the end of the episode when he is told to go to this other planet, and hopefully it can help him figure out what the child or Grogu needs for his future in becoming one with the Force. So that's the episode. What were your personal thoughts about the episode, and what rating would you give it out of 10?
I think this was probably the best episode of the season so far. I think the only other contender would be episode 1 from this season. I know we've given a couple of these episodes 10s, but if I could give this one an 11, I think I would. I thought the choreography with Ahsoka at the beginning of the episode when it's nighttime and it's really dark, and they show her turn on her white lightsabers, kill a guy, turn him off, and hide into the darkness, and then do it again and again. The light to dark to light to dark. I thought that was really cool. I liked that there was a lot of fighting. I liked that we got to see that the Vaskar steel doesn't actually get penetrated by lightsabers. I like that Mando called it a laser sword. I thought that was hilarious. Because I guess he didn't know it was a lightsaber. I don't know how he would know that, but I thought it was funny. We got to learn Grogu's name, or the child's name, being that it was Grogu, right? And that he's a lot more powerful than he's letting on, and he's just kind of hidden it beneath the surface so that to kind of try to protect himself and almost kind of play a more baby character than what he really is. So it's kind of like, who are you? You know, like how powerful are you actually? Um, I liked the magistrate. I thought she was pretty cool and a good fighter. I think the only thing that I didn't really like was her bodyguard. He rubbed me the wrong way, but that was something this big in a huge episode of awesomeness. So I guess if I have to rate it out of 10, it's going to be a 10. I wish I could give this one an 11, but that's where I'm at.
Nice. Yeah, it was definitely a very, very good episode. Really, what my thoughts have been is like a lot of these episodes are really up there. There's only the one, I think episode 2, where I was kind of about. But yeah, it's really cool how they keep putting more new stuff in here that we know about from Star Wars, but we haven't really seen on film, especially in live action. So like the white lightsabers, we all know about it, but we've never seen it on film. That was super cool. Ahsoka Tano, we've never seen her live action. We got to see that. We finally figured out the child's name. That was super significant. We saw something that isn't penetrated by lightsabers. That was also pretty cool. That might be part of Star Wars lore, that Beskar armor doesn't get destroyed by lightsabers, but I personally didn't know that. But yeah, I think I would also give it a 10 out of 10. It's really hard to nitpick that episode. I don't feel like there was anything bad about it. It flowed nice. The runtime was even longer than last week. We're heading in the right direction for the run times because we all want more Star Wars. But yeah, all around, super cool episode. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this is heading. I think we are set for an epic ending to season 2. Everything is lining up for it between Bo-Katan, Gideon and his secret super soldiers, Ahsoka Tano possibly getting involved, and the Mandalorian. There's a bunch of things coming together. So yeah, a couple of 10 out of 10s.
I want to mention one more little thing. So this is not necessarily to do with my rating, just something kind of minor that I noticed in there. And that is at the very end of the episode when Ahsoka's telling Mando to take Grogu to this temple and put him on the Seeing Stone, and then he can choose his destiny or whatever her verbiage is. You see his ears kind of perk up. And it's something that we've seen 100 times over, but I swear you can hear kind of like an animatronic sound when that happened. And I don't know, 5-10 seconds later, his ears perked up again, and you couldn't hear it that time. So my question for you guys is, did you catch this the first time? Do you hear it now? Because I swear it sounds, you can hear that little animatronic sound. It's just something that I wonder if it didn't quite get caught when they were editing the film. I just thought that was a little, you don't want to, it's not an Easter egg, but just something little that I caught on that I thought was something like, oh, I got you.
Yeah. So let us know. Drop it in the comments. So yeah, that about wraps it up for this episode today. Make sure to turn on notifications if you want to see more like this in the future. If you have notifications turned on, you will be alerted when this video drops and more from this channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Drop us a like if you liked it. And just like Sarah mentioned, if you notice the thing about the ears, drop us a comment, let us know about that. Let us know your thoughts about the episode. What were some of the cool things that you caught? What were some things that we didn't? What didn't we mention in the episode? Feel free to let us know. Otherwise, as always, thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.